Hello, welcome back. This is Jack with ABP, and we will be waiting to launch this game. Right, should be launching it like in 5 minutes. So I figure we can watch some trailers. Are you good? Okay. So let's see.
Mother returned home carrying a crystallized egg. Inside that egg were two living Rathalos. I remember how happy I was when I heard two newborn cries, so small yet so full of life.
All right.
Now this time I eschewed my royal duties and tried to push any thoughts of my mother from my mind. All of that
I love
has brought
Monster
me
Hunter,
here.
so yeah, I'm excited.
My mother,
And this game looks good. I wish they would have went with this style
even Ratha.
in Wild.
I know nothing about them. I can't stand it anymore.
We've borne witness to the Rathalos' return from extinction. And with it, the sort of omen we can ill afford to ignore.
I've learned of all the lives lost in the Rift War.
Then perhaps he's told you that the war 200 years ago was the source of all these feral monsters.
They're coming! The Vermilions betrayed us!
It's the hell they faced 200 years ago all over again.
And a sky-scale Rathalos, no less. What did we do to deserve this?
Oh, Eleanor. I'd heard Azuria had made a hostage of you, but I never imagined they'd take your spirit as well.
War will only harm our people
Oh,
and
yeah.
further endanger
Looks
our
good.
kingdom. You know that as well as I do, Clarissa.
This isn't Ranger business. One wrong move, and it can all blow up into a diplomatic incident.
I've been preparing for this my whole life, Captain. I swear I'll win, so just watch me.
Okay, let's get going. Counting on you for backup, Captain.
We'll take that beast down this time, right, lad?
This is you we're talking about. I just know you're gonna offer to help with my other work.
There must be a path forward, without bloodshed. Don't you think so?
We've all got your back, so stand tall. We know you can do this.
2 centuries ago, our ancestors committed a grave sin. We have to accept these transgressions. And as riders, it's our responsibility to right these wrongs. Come on!
That's what I'm talking about, son.
Simon! That's Lao Shan Long!
Ah, Sean
Real
Long.
as the nose on my face!
That thing's huge.
Tell you right now, there aren't many of us hunters who have ever met a live Laoshan Long, that's for sure.
It's all crystallized now, but can you imagine it stomping around?
Yeah. Elder dragons ain't no joke. They say their steps would shake the land like earthquakes.
Anything else?
We scouted the local terrain, learned of the city's egg trade, and even managed to get a good sense of the Scrivener's movements. In addition, we received noteworthy intel about the Sacrosanctum.
What do you say we swing by Gallia? Big old city, just up the road? The Scriveners have set up shop there, so they might be able to teach you a thing or two about these feral monsters.
Ratha!
Let's go, Dee! Yeah!
There's something out there beyond anything we can imagine. And that something is the source of the encroachment. That's my hunch.
They're here.
It's the egg they want. We'll try to buy you some time.
Clarissa!
It's time you give us the egg.
Let's see.
Not a chance.
truly intended to save the world,
At 10
then it's
p.m.
my duty to pick up the torch and see it through.
Go in strength. Go forth as a rider, head held high. Do me proud.
I'll see you soon, Father.
What? I guess 11 is what it means. Then why would it say 10? Central. Why would it lie to me? Why does it hate me? Why are you like this?
Wow.
All right.
It's only just been born. Just stay calm and treat it kindly.
Well then, I guess it's 11 p.m. instead of 10.
I know there's something more beyond that vast sky.
Your Highness! Let's get to it.
Yeah, I
Good
guess
luck on your
11
first
p.m.
mission.
Thanks.
Aw, man.
Almost time. This world is full of so many mysteries.
I guess. Just watch trailers for an hour. They're not very long trailers. Bruh. The review presented by Elizabeth. What the hell? That's Monster Hunter Stories. What is all this? The Nintendo Direct, the official trailer. What the hell? Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Let's see what other, because I know people probably already got early access. So don't ruin your game. Look at this. The full game already. Review after 200 hours. I played it early. That'll kill time. All right. Well, let's see. Monster Hunter Stories. What is this? 58. I mean, that's too long. See if we can do full story. 58 minutes. That's just too much, guys. Part 1. Look at this, people already. That's crazy, man. Let's see. They got something for both of them. Everything's like 1,000,000 hours. No. No, I don't want to see a review. You already got spoilers. Bruh. That sucks. Well, I guess I'll have to wait. Who are you, Sko? There's Gaming Boat. I don't know who Chubbs is. For all you new writers out there, sure. Just put something on.
Alright, how's it going, everyone? So I want to make a kind of a different video than I normally make, obviously, because they're...
Oh, no, I don't want to hear that. Sure.
The year is 2004.
Whatever
You
this
sit
guy-
down in front of your PlayStation 2, and presumably also a television if you want to actually see what's going on. You boot up the system and launch Monster Hunter. This was the beginning of a now legendary game series, entering its 6th generation with the recent release of Monster
Gotta
Hunter
wait an
Wilds.
hour, might as well
Today I
go
want to
through
have a
this.
look back at the entire timeline of what brought us here from the start of the series to the point that we're at now, either to give you more context if you are someone who has maybe only played the more modern games in the series, or maybe even first found the series through Monster Hunter Wilds itself, to let you know exactly where Monster Hunter has come from, what it has grown
I was there,
from, and
Gandalf.
how we've ended up where we are with Monster Hunter Wilds, the most ambitious title in the series to date.
On the
To start,
PSP, right
we
before I
have to
went
go
into the
back to
military.
the very first game, the one simply titled Monster Hunter. Fun fact, a lot of people assume it's Rathalos in the logo for this game, as he's like the flagship for the whole series, but it's not. It's actually Rathian in the logo, which you can tell because of the chin spike. This game was the first introduction of Monster Hunter to the world, in an initiative from Capcom to make games with a heavy focus on multiplayer and the more social aspect of gaming. There was a lot of concept art, mostly from the Hunter Encyclopedia 1.
And it was like
that
3
shows
games
the
that they had
roots
to
of
make.
where Monster Hunter originally started from this tortoise with an entire fortress on its back to this
And then all
version
3
of
passed.
Velocidrome that looks like a precursor to Tigrex, almost in an extremely terrifying way. There was also this monster that looked like a cross between a rhino and a tree, and generally speaking, the first idea of the game was a lot higher fantasy than what we eventually had released, meaning much more suspension of disbelief, literal magic as a concept as well.
I love
as
the
a
launcher
world.
games. I
But
love
at
the
some
hype.
point, they decided to try and switch to a
Since
bit
we
of a
can't
more
get really
grounded
midnight
approach.
releases at the store
And that
anymore.
created the sort of mantra of Monster Hunter, which is to root everything in at least somewhat believable ecological concepts. Sure, it wouldn't be 100% accurate, or else every monster would just be like a goat or a frog, and that would be it. But they made things make enough sense that everything started to feel a lot more real, rather than just a fantasy adventure. In Monster Hunter 1, the gameplay was
Always hate
as
that guy.
janky as it has ever been. You controlled your attacks with the right stick on the controller
Yep.
instead of the face buttons. The movement had a lot of stickiness.
Now you can
to
drink
it. It was
potions while you
difficult
move
to
around.
get
It's
to
crazy.
terms with. The monster health pools were very large, and the AI of the monsters was definitely irritating. It was normal to have a Cephadrome just swim around through the sand, just going around you over and over, evading attacks.
Since I picked up the Switch too, I've been thinking about doing Generations again.
To force them out, a direct counter.
Well, really, for
Same
the
thing
first
with
time, I've never
Rathalos
really
just
fully
hanging out in the
completed
sky,
it.
flying around out of your range for 90% of a hunt, unless you brought flash bombs and flashed them down. Compared to modern hunts, this can be looked at as super punishing, but back in the day, this was just what Monster Hunter was. It was how it worked. It rewarded preparation heavily, very heavily. And if you brought the right tools to a hunt, if you brought the correct
I wish they would
counter
bring
to
some
a
of that
monster,
back.
it would make it unbelievably easier than if you didn't have that.
And give us
Game
different
was
items too.
punishing,
We've been having
but
the
that
same
made it
traps
even more
forever.
satisfying when you were successful. It's also worth noting that in the first game, there were actually only 7 of the 14 weapon types that we know and love today. Greatsword, sword and shield, dual blades, hammer, lance, and both of the bowguns are the only weapons that have been around since the very beginning. And even then,
Sword
dual
and
blades
shield,
were
that was
actually
my
sort of
first weapon.
hidden as you had to upgrade into them from a sword and shield instead of being their own base weapon from the start. For those who want a taste of what the first generation monster designs were like, and to point it out with monsters that we've had in the 5th generation return especially, Diablos, Basarios, Fatalis, Kezu,
I hate Basarios.
Kirin, Rathalos, and Rathian were all monsters that first appeared in the first Monster Hunter game that all modern players would recognize and be familiar with. Generally speaking, I would describe these as very classic, iconic Monster Hunter creatures compared to things like Tetranodon in Monster Hunter Rise or Namiel in Iceborne, and they are all relatively tame creatures conceptually compared to those.
Yeah.
But that's because Monster Hunter 1 established the sort of baseline expectation of monsters being plausible beings within this universe, and then they just sort of pushed the boundaries further and
Yeah,
further
pretty
with
much.
every new game added to the series afterwards. As well, it's worth noting that this early on, story wasn't too much of a consideration for the game. There was quest text and there was a bit of a
Story's
story to
always been the
follow,
same,
but it
pretty
was
much.
far from the top priority of the developers, and it stayed this way until around the 4th generation games. At the beginning of
me
2005,
put this on for anybody who wants to
Monster
read.
Hunter
I know
G was
a lot of people like
released in
subtitles.
Japan, which was the G-rank expansion for the original game. For players only used to modern
stocking
Monster
up on
Hunter,
coffee, might
this
as well.
is the Iceborne or Sunbreak equivalent, and G-rank is what it was called before Master Rank was a term coined in the 5th generation. A pile of extra monsters were added in, and a bunch of extra content as well, but it was all built upon the base game itself that already existed. This was the start of subspecies and rare species as a concept as well, and while there were 13 new monsters in Monster Hunter G, every one of them was a subspecies or rare species of one of the pre-existing monsters. And this started a pretty consistent trend of the expansions to base games having a lot of their monsters in them be variations, more so than purely fully new monsters. That said, this batch of subspecies was really cool as a concept for a game focused around believable monsters and for its time. But by today's standards, comparing to a lot of the more modern subspecies, a lot of the early ones were very, very simple and basic. Things like a color swap and then maybe 1 or 2 new moves, some minor behavior changes, as opposed to the modern guys which fully change like their elements and use their bodies totally differently. And this is why in Monster Hunter World you have the contrast of something like Pink Rathian being a Rathian that's pink and has some extra backflips, and then in Iceborne you get Coral Pookie, a brand new subspecies who is extremely creative and completely different compared to normal Pookie. In late 2005,
Nargi used to be my favorite, and then Pookie
there was the
because
release
he looks
of
so
Monster
goofy.
Hunter Portable, and in early 2006 this happened for the rest of the world as Monster Hunter Freedom on the PSP.
Yep.
These are essentially the same game, and it is a port
Yep,
of
that's
the
the one I
entirety of
remember.
both Monster Hunter and its G-rank expansion to the PSP. But notably, while Monster Hunter G was exclusive to Japan, this brought all of that content to the rest of the world as well. On top of that, the game also added one new monster in Jan Garuga, who Iceborne players would recognize from the Guiding Lands. This was also the first game in the series to introduce a village farm mechanic where you could safely cultivate and grow
Which I
and
wish they would
collect
bring back.
resources for free in the town without having to do dangerous stuff. And yeah, I know that wasn't a thing originally, and that's sort of crazy. And this farming mechanic is what eventually evolved through each and every game that followed and has ended up being the trade and collection system with all of the villages in the Forbidden Lands that we now have through Nata in Wilds. Not too long after this, in February of 2006, Monster Hunter 2 released for the PlayStation 2 in Japan only, and it was also known as Monster Hunter DOS. This
And the
added in
seasons.
4 new weapon types that we all know and love now, being longsword,
Mhm.
gun lance, hunting horn, and bow. And it's worth noting that a lot of longsword players, even today, still hold second generation longsword as being the best version of the weapon, the most enjoyable even in its simplicity. They also updated the original weapons too. They added in a proper day and night system for quests, and there were even seasons in it too, which all had an effect on what quest you could take and what monsters would spawn. This was part of Monster Hunter starting to have a world that felt somewhat alive, rather than just a collection of levels to progress through or a collection of monsters to beat, making the monsters feel a little bit more tied to the environments that they actually live in.
Oops.
Making it feel more believable that they do. This was also when the devs started to branch out
45
a lot
minutes.
more with
Ooh,
the
boy.
monster designs as well, like purposefully pushing themselves to think out of the box with the additions of crab monsters, which are one of my favorite monster types in the series personally, as well as
If you haven't played
beasts,
Sunbreak,
with things
you
like
can fight those in
Congalala
Sunbreak.
being a fantastic example of a really just crazy, silly monster. A big pink monkey who deflects attacks with his stomach, farts or burps to stop you from using items, and then eats mushrooms to gain status effects to use against you. And he is also one of my favorite returning creatures in Monster Hunter Wilds, to the point where he literally threw his poop at me and I laughed
They
instead
kind of
of
have the
being
seasons
upset about
again
it. He
in
is
Wilds, which is
super
cool.
silly, but he's also based in a lot of real world concepts. Like, these are all personality bits that fit a real world monkey, just sort of mashed together from multiple different types of monkeys and exaggerated
Round
of
over
course, in some
Zhang is
creative
the
ways.
monkey, though.
This game also had Yamasukami, which is one of the most wild concepts of a monster they
like an
have
alien.
possibly ever come up with, and a monster that
Cephalopod
I
or
really
something.
hope to see brought back to the series one day as well. And this was also the game that brought in decorations as a concept, putting sockets in your equipment so you could add skill ranks through the system. And skill ranks as a whole is a system I don't even really want to get into, but to try and crunch it down quickly, it was way more complex than it is today. In the old style games, you'd have to reach a certain number of points in a skill before it would activate to begin with, and if you had enough negative points in a skill, you would get a negative skill as well, which was just a detriment to your character. So you had to balance around these things somewhat carefully. If you hit 10 points in a skill, you would activate its base
Yeah,
version.
builds
Some skills
mattered
with
a lot
further ranks, you
more.
could activate at like 15 or 20 points in the skill respectively. And in modern terms, just think of 10 points as being one rank of a skill now. But you had to use multiple armor pieces to get to that number, and getting multiple skills made that even more tough to work out, especially because of the negative skills. Put simply, I'm really glad we moved away from this system, honestly. I think
It's pretty
negative
kinda
skills as a
convoluted
concept
a
are
bit.
pretty fun, and I wouldn't mind that being brought back in some way, but the way that skills work in modern games is generally a significant improvement from how it all began, and it's just much easier to understand. In 2007, we had the release of Monster Hunter Portable 2nd in Japan, which also came to the West as Monster Hunter Freedom 2, the PSP port of Monster Hunter DOS, with some even further new additions as well. The most notable of these being 3 new monsters: a Cantor, the king of gladiatorial
Tigrex.
combat, Geodrome, who actually was fully created just to have a big raptor version of what the community called White Velociprey, later renamed to being called Geoprey and made their own thing. In the games prior to this, there was a
It's like tripping through time. I dig it.
spawn as like white, just completely incorrectly colored, and so they just sort of ran
Like
with
core
it.
memories
Made
are being
their thing.
unlocked.
It's like in Geodrome to be their leader. Then they also added in Tigrex, who was the flagship of this game. As the arrival to the west of Monster Hunter 2nd Generation, this was a very big deal for the fans on this side of the globe. But it's worth noting that because of these releases, the West never had a home console version of this game, which is quite interesting in itself. And it's also worth noting that at this point, the series was quite niche in the West. In 2007 for Japan and Korea, but in 2008 for the rest of the world, Capcom released Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, also known as Monster Hunter Portable 2nd G. This is the G-Rank game of the 2nd generation, the expansion title. In the lead up to this game releasing, another Monster Hunter game was being developed simultaneously, not one for the main series, sort of a spin-off. It was Monster Hunter Frontier, a major MMO Monster Hunter game that ran for over a decade, and honestly, if I were to dive into the entirety of Frontier,
I think there's
I'd
like
be
a
here for
private
twice
server
as
you
long
can
as I
join or
would with
some
just
way
the
to
rest
play
of the
that,
series.
from
The
what I
game was
understand.
massive, it had an insane amount of monsters, and it's absolutely worth checking it out if you can. But for the sake of conversation about the main series, the important things to note, at least for now, are that both Hypnocatrice, who hasn't been around for ages, and Levesioth, who was in Monster Hunter World, are monsters that were developed simultaneously.
They've been bringing
by
a
the
lot of
main
Frontier
Monster Hunter
monsters, so
team for Freedom
we
Unite,
might see
and by the
Hypnocatrice.
development team making Monster Hunter Frontier. Frontier as well. They both influenced each other's versions of these monsters, and that said, Frontier ended up releasing first, and it released with its monsters first, so these were the first two monsters in the mainline series that had technically originated somewhere else first. In total, Freedom Unite had 10 monsters that weren't in Freedom 2. Those were 2 of them. Then we have another 5 subspecies or variations of monsters. We had the introduction of Eucanlos, the counterpart to a Cantor, and then there was also the Vespoid Queen quest, which technically does count. And then of course the flagship of the expansion, Nargacuga, an absolutely beloved creature by many people. On the topic of cat-like monsters,
looks so
this
cool.
is also the game that added in Palicos for the first time, though at this point in the series they were called feline comrades. Specifically, Palicos as a term had not yet been coined. This concluded the second generation games and pushed us forward to Monster Hunter Tri, releasing in Japan
a lot of
in
people's first and a lot of
2009
people's
and
favorite.
2010 for the rest of the world. This was where a swap happened to Nintendo consoles instead of Sony, mainly, with this release happening on the original Nintendo Wii. This was when things started to get really funky. The way that I like to think about it is that the first generation established a baseline of combat and world and monster design. Then the second generation expanded on that and played with it and made it a bit more unique. Then the third generation is when they really just started to smash the walls down around them and explore some major differences from what the series was before. The big difference in Tri was underwater combat. They expanded the game to not only have land combat as standard, but you can now traverse underwater in a 3-dimensional space, swimming with the
like what,
monsters,
half the
fish that
weapons or
inhabited it,
something like
and
that
hunting
weren't
even
available
more
at the start
aquatic large
because
monsters.
they had to
This
build it
game
for
was the
underwater and
origination
land.
of crazy creatures like Gobule, the spiky anglerfish who hides on the seabed, Royal Ludroth, the big spongy boy that he is who would transfer from water to land, and of course the flagship in Legiacris himself. But while the game added in underwater combat, it wasn't exclusively about underwater combat either. This was also the first game to introduce Deviljho, the angry pickle on legs who definitely does not swim, thankfully, and he was part of a roster that included 15 brand new monsters to the series. And aside from this, there were some other very interesting changes for Tri as well. One being that bow, gun lance, hunting horn, and dual blades weren't in this game for whatever reason. They were just left out, but this was simultaneously the game that added in the switch axe as a new weapon for the first time, the first of the transforming weapons that would eventually be added, and arguably the flashiest weapon added to the series up to this point. As well as this was only limited to Tri itself, there was the concept of medium bowgun. Specifically, bowguns were extremely customizable, and part of this was that there was a weight mechanic, and what decided if a bowgun was a light or heavy bowgun was where it fell on that weight scale with the parts that you choose. But there was also a section in between light and heavy where you would technically have a new weapon type called medium bowgun. This was obviously quite a complex system, and as cool as it sounds, this was removed very quickly. This is the only version of Monster Hunter in which this has ever existed, and medium bowgun has just not been seen again since. As well, in Monster Hunter Tri, we had Shakalaka companions instead of straight up felines like in the previous game, but they were a lot more conversational, so they actually were a part and personality of your hunts. In 2010, we had the release of Monster Hunter Portable 3rd in Japan only, and this was the port for Monster Hunter Tri to portable systems. This also specifically put it on the PSP. Unlike Tri, this game did not have underwater combat at all, theoretically due to it being on portable systems and that being a hard thing to bring over. But what it did add was a ton more than the previous portable games did. First up, the missing weapons from Monster Hunter Tri were in Portable 3rd. There were also fully new monsters within Portable 3rd like Arzuros, and also the flagship of the game, Zinogre, who was a fan favorite of a lot of people, as well as my personal favorite monster of all time introduced in this game, Duramboros, and he started here for the first time too. But there were also 9 subspecies brand new for this game, including some much more creative stuff than we'd had before this point, like Jade Baroth, who I'm a pretty big fan of personally, and I think might be the specific marker where variations of monsters really started to branch out and get more interesting. In late 2011, Monster Hunter 3G released specifically in Japan for the Nintendo 3DS, and was later released in 2012 for the Wii U, as well as Monster Hunter 3G HD version, before eventually being released on both platforms to the rest of the world under the singular name of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate in early 2013. This had all of the new content from Portable 3rd, but also brought back the underwater combat and underwater areas from base Monster Hunter Tri. All of the weapons were in here. We got a second Shakalaka hunting companion to bring along with us in Kayamba. As well, there were 10 new monsters that were not in Portable Third or in Tri, including 5 subspecies, 2 rare species, and a variant, and the new monsters being the flagship Brachydios, who also introduced the blast status to the series in its original form as slime, and essentially was a big part of statuses becoming a big deal in the series to begin with, and then Dire Moralis, the final of the Black Dragons, which is the term used for the various Vitalises, Elatrion, and of course Dire Moralis as well. This monster was essentially the walking volcano before Zora Magdaros became a thing in 5th generation and basically took that title. For reference of Dire Moralis' power level though, his body heat, his natural body heat is so insanely high temperature that the body of water you fight him in is red from the blood of the creatures that just straight up died because of how hot he made the water passively while walking through it. He is an absolute natural calamity, and this is one of those monsters I would love to see come back in the modern games, because as a concept, Dire Moralis was absolutely terrifying, but his actual in-game fight was a bit more of a punching bag that struggled with being too big and too slow to fight properly as an actual monster, which I would love to do with him at some point. This ended the 3rd generation, and as we move on to the 4th generation, some things started to change a bit. The main quirk of this gen is that there are multiple games in it, but they are all for portable systems, as opposed to previous generations, where it was essentially one game, then it was ported to portable systems, and then there was an expansion tying it all together. Instead, 4th gen was our first one, with 2 fully separated main series games, each getting their own expansion. This generation started with Monster Hunter 4 in 2013 for the Nintendo 3DS.
That's a good one.
Yes, this is generally considered the first properly in-depth story in a Monster Hunter game. Sure, there was like quest texts and stuff in prior ones, the occasional cutscene, but mostly it was just unconfirmable lore talking about how there may or may not have been an ancient civilization or something, and it all felt a little bit more like justification for things like Bowgun existing in the eventual edition of stuff like Switch Axe and Charge Blade, more than like an actual story they were trying to present and lore that they knew existed in the world. Whereas Monster Hunter 4 brought in a very consistent, purposeful story that shaped your entire journey through the game, to the point of frenzied monsters becoming a common part of the game, and in the expansion, Apex monsters being the basis of the entire endgame system. And this is where Fabius, the Ace Lancer, the commander of the expedition in Monster Hunter Wilds, originates from. He is from this game and he is in this story, hence his deep connection to Gore Magala and the Frenzy in Wilds. On top of this, this game was the introduction of our final 2 weapons to the main series, being Charge Blade and Insect Glaive. Both of these were a very sort of shallow version of what they eventually became in the games that have come out since, but they were also both very fun in this first version nonetheless, as someone who has tried both. As well, it's worth mentioning that underwater combat did not return in the 4th generation, and to this day underwater combat is locked to the 3rd gen. It has not come back. But the equivalent sort of unique extra take that they wanted to work around in Monster Hunter 4 was verticality in the zones on land, adding ledges that you could do jump attacks off of, as well as the addition of the first version of the mounting feature, where if you stacked up enough aerial damage, you would get on top of the monster and basically grapple with it, and then either hold on to protect yourself when the monster was thrashing, or stab it with a little knife when it was safe, in order to end it with a free knockdown. This was also a core part of Insect Glaive as one of the new weapons, as well it didn't have its full bouncy aerial moveset that it has now. It was the only weapon with an on-demand aerial attack.
I think that's what's coming back with
require
Snakes.
a ledge to essentially just force loads more mounts
Based
per
off the
hunt
logo on
than
Wilds.
any other weapon could achieve. Overall, this mounting mechanic, along with the idea of more verticality in zones, ended up becoming a staple in the series moving forwards for all future games, though generally there have been some pretty varied takes on it over the years too, like Wyvern riding in Rise and Sunbreak, which is a completely just out of left field change to mounting, but of course we've gone back to a more standard mount for Wilds. Monster Hunter 4 also had probably the most creative new monster additions since the 2nd generation games when crabs and monkeys became a thing, with the base game of Monster Hunter 4 having an absolutely incredible rare species in Molten Tigrex, as well as a couple of other monster variations
Molten
too.
Tigrex.
But then 11 fully fresh, brand new monsters that included some truly quirky and wacky personalities. Zamtrios, who I still think is my second favorite monster
The
even
shark.
after Wilds, was from this game. Celtis, and of course Celtis Queen, who was also near the top for me. Najarala, who is a crazy goddamn snake monster, of which they have not made many. Even Nursilla. They just went all in on creating new monster types and skeletons and breaking the barrier of what people thought monsters
cool.
could be like in this series all over again. An interesting bonus note that I'm maybe putting together too far here is that the second generation had a bump of new skeletons and monster types that were super out of left field. The fourth generation had another big bump of those same types of really strange new monster concepts, and we just recently had the sixth generation, which has followed this pattern to add in cephalopods with a complete rework of the Leviathan movement patterns as well. We've got things like Arkveld, which, while still a flying wyvern technically, has these full extra chain appendages he swings around, or Uthduna, who, while technically a Leviathan, moves and acts in a totally unique way. I know this is a history video, but patterns like that do make me a little bit extra excited when I notice them, and they help me get sort of expectations for future games. As to me, it presents a pattern here where the even-numbered generations in Monster Hunter are more about breaking the mold with the monsters, and the odd-numbered generations are more about pushing the gameplay and the environments. That said, this was also the game that added Gore Magala as its flagship, as well as Shaguru Magala, of course, was in there too. And of course, a lot of people consider those their favorite monsters as well. On top of that, they brought back the feline comrades instead of Cha-Cha and Kiamba from the third gen, but now they were called Palicos. And they had a little bit of meowing here and there. They had some actual text that you could read, but you can thank Cha-Cha and Kiamba for our hunting
Gore.
pals having proper personality, which of
The
course
bane
has
of my
eventually led
existence.
on to full-on conversational English-speaking Palicos in Monster Hunter Wilds. Moving on to 2014, still over 10 years ago, the G-Rank expansion for this game released in Japan called Monster Hunter 4G. This was released later in 2015 for the rest of the world under the name of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. It's worth noting that this means the entire base game of Monster Hunter 4 was actually never available in the West, so that should be a sign of how niche the series still was over here, even as recently as 10 years ago.
The world was really big for
That said, this
the
expansion
series.
added quite a lot as well, with the Everwoods were
It's
a
like
concept in
what
the base game,
Skyrim
which was
did
a
for
map with essentially
Elder
just
Scrolls.
changing biomes all linked together zone by zone for crazy monster variety potential, which of course became a very direct inspiration for the Guiding Lands endgame.
I think this is where Gemma
Iceborne.
came from.
But what Monster Hunter 4U specifically added in here was expeditions. These allowed you to visit the Everwood without any information of which zones you'd be going to or which monsters would spawn there. And while this was a relatively simplistic version, the concept of expeditions would become a very standard addition to the series in the future. As well, this added the idea of apex monsters, which were uber powerful monster variations unique to this game, mostly built for additional endgame difficulty and reward for players who were able to overcome them. And this was essentially the first proper endgame
25 more
mechanic in the
minutes.
series that wasn't just hunting for the sake of build creation and random decoration drops, and the precursor to what has essentially been a system within every game since then. As well, this game did of course have a pile of new monsters, and this included 10 variations of monsters from the base game, including 2 full-on variants, as well as Seregios, who is an extremely well-made
the
and
angry
creative
chicken.
fan-favorite flagship, and then also of course Gogmazios, who is essentially the final boss of the game, where a lot of the story in the expansion builds towards protecting the city from his eventual assault. Overall, where the third generation had a heavy focus on its unique mechanic that hasn't since
Golden
returned in
Shield.
underwater combat, fourth generation, at least 4 and 4 Ultimate, had a heavy focus on adding to the base of what the series already was, building the foundation up to give more for future games to work with. That said, there was another game in the 4th generation of Monster Hunter, and here's where the release order is starting to get a little bit odd. In 2015 for Japan,
The way he
2016
said
for the
that.
rest of the world, we had Monster Hunter Generations Release, also known as Monster Hunter X or Monster Hunter Cross in Japan. This is the closest thing to a spin-off game that is still technically a main series Monster Hunter game. The main goal of this game was to put as many returning monsters in as possible, possible to try and essentially update some monsters that hadn't been around since the first game up to the 4th generation
Yeah, I think it has
gameplay
the biggest
mechanics and
roster.
standards. As someone who had their first experience with a large amount of monsters in the series within Generations Ultimate, the expansion, they did a fantastic job with that as far as I'm concerned. They made it way more accessible to see a lot of monsters that you otherwise would have had to play through much earlier games to see. This game was essentially all about
crazy how this
celebrating
looks.
Monster Hunter's past, but that didn't stop it from innovating to a relatively crazy degree too, and doing some really strange things. This game added hunting styles as well as hunter arts. There were 4 hunting styles to begin with: Guild, which was essentially standard; Striker,
Aerial glaive.
which generally had a reduced moveset compared to normal weapons, but could use more hunter arts than the other styles; Aerial style, which essentially gave every weapon an aerial combo option similar to Insect Glaive, so you didn't need ledges to go into the air; and then Adept style, which was based around iframe evading attacks and then being able to combo that, if successful, into special moves. This was then paired with Hunter Arts, which were essentially gauges that you could fill up by dealing damage to the monster, and then when full you could use them for a special effect, sort of like a limit break. Some of these were just like a super high iframe evade that restores sharpness to your weapon, others are like a parry or counter attack on a weapon that wouldn't normally have access to those, and some are just really high damage attacks that you can bust out on a downed monster. Overall, this added a ridiculous amount of variety to hunting, but it also made it feel very sort of arcade-like. I don't mean that term in a negative way, but it felt very notably different from every prior Monster Hunter game, and while this game was definitely the furthest it has pushed in that direction, different aspects of the hunting styles and hunter arts, specific attacks or animations, have been brought back time and time again to be reintroduced as part of weapon movesets in games that released after this point. As for the new monsters this time around, we had quite a lot of pretty unique new creatures, including 4 full flagships sharing the title for this game: Astalos, Gameth, Glavenus, and Mizitsune. There were also 12 Deviants, which was a new alternate monster type exclusive to Generations and its expansion, the first sort of new iteration on what Apex monsters were in
And you could play as the Palico
These were meant
or
to
the
give
cat
us
or
super
whatever.
over-the-top versions of monsters that we already knew and loved, and quite a lot of them are remembered very fondly. Outside of those, there was also some extremely adventurous new additions like Malfestio, who is a totally unique monster within the series. He's not really like anything else, especially with this Confusion status debuff that literally makes your controls go backwards. And then of course, Nakarkos, who had a really fun first introduction in low rank that only showed as sort of tentacle guys, acting as if they were its head and it had multiple, before of course the full reveal in high rank, and this was just a really fun sort of story beat in a game that was definitely not so much made with the story as a main component. Oh, and of course, it can't go without mentioning, this game also added in Prowler mode as a way to play the game, which for all intents and purposes just let you play as a Palico. They have their own moveset, their own unique way of judging health and healing based around acorns, and you can customize them to focus on various playstyles within it too. Essentially, this was just a 15th weapon type for the series in the form of playing as your cat, and this has not yet returned in future Monster Hunter games, as sad as that is to say. In 2017, the expansion for this game released in Japan under the name of XX or Double Cross, but didn't come out for the rest of the world until August of 2018 as Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. For reference, Monster Hunter World had a worldwide release in January of 2018. So for Japan, Double Cross came out before World, but for the rest of us, it actually released after World. As well, while there was a version of this game for the 3DS, this expansion mainly released as a standalone title on the Nintendo Switch. That said, it's worth noting, as a result of this timing, I'm about to talk about these things as if they were added before World released, but for a lot of us, at least in the West, myself included, these things weren't experienced until after Monster Hunter World. So with that in mind, this expansion added 2 more hunting styles to each weapon to build onto the base game mechanics. These were Valor style, which made your sheath longer, but also able to absorb damage from incoming attacks, or instead launch off special attacks from the sheathing stance. As a cost, this style got less hunter arts able to be used than the others. Then there was also alchemy style, and this one was pretty crazy, mostly based around the alchemy barrel. As you fight, an alchemy meter will fill, and then you can use the
there's some
barrel to
wild
create
stuff
different
in this
items
game.
using this meter charge, including things like healing or buffs, earplugs, or you could even generate like a cannon shot from the barrel, which is pretty neat too, honestly. As well, they even added more hunter art compared to the base game too, and on top of this, the game added in a bunch of new monsters. 6 new deviants to add to the sort of endgame loop from the base game, including Bloodbath Diablos as a sort of unofficial poster boy of the deviants among them. But then there was also the additions of both Valstrax, who is an absolute fan favorite monster, basically a jet in monster form with incredibly unique animations as well. And then, of course, Atul Ka, the final boss of this game, the beautiful golden mantis who uses her incredibly strong webbing to throw pieces of metal around at you as a weapon, or build an entirely, essentially, mech out of scrap metal. This creativity in this game with the monster
they need to bring more of
was
that.
crazy, and it's such as easy to see why a lot of this stuff hasn't returned since, but it also makes Generations Ultimate
an Egyptian
just such a
or something.
trove of unique Monster Hunter
Sort of like.
experiences, especially for someone who has never played a game prior to the 5th generation. On which note, let's move on to the start of the modern era. In
World is so
January of
different.
2018, Monster Hunter World released simultaneously worldwide.
I was just over here excited
For
that
the
it was
first
going to
time
be in
in
like
series history.
modern graphics
This
and
game aimed to
all
completely
that.
reinvent the wheel, essentially, when it came to Monster Hunter. Of course, a lot of the same design philosophies were at play, but the graphic style changed immensely. And the biggest goal of this new game was to try and play up the immersion factor as much as physically possible, to ground the game in an almost realistic feeling and to make the game world feel alive. One of the biggest features of this transition was, well, a removal of transitions between zones specifically. In Monster Hunter World, for the first time, we had full entire maps that you could walk through on foot without a single loading screen between any of the areas. They added in endemic life that you could even capture with a net and then display in your bedroom, and the maps were larger, more open areas connected by pathways. And for the first time ever, there was a sort of realistic verticality to it all too. Of course, Monster Hunter 4 introduced a little bit of verticality with things like ledges that you could jump off of, even in the middle of a zone where you'd fight the monsters, but for the most part, even those zones were just big, flat, open circles with a ledge on one side of it that was very sort of obvious and stuck out a bit. But Monster Hunter World had full-on like steep slopes that you could actually slide down, and added sliding attacks for each of the weapons. A lot of the verticality felt more natural. There were vines that you could swing off of, and you could attack from these too. There were environmental traps that were baked into the map for you to trigger yourself. And probably most importantly, the monsters would actively interact with each other for the first time properly. Great Jagras would eat Aptonoth while you were hunting it. Turf Wars were brought into the game as a way for large monsters to have actual sort of power scaling that you could watch with your own eyes. And while hunting styles and hunter art didn't stick from Generations over to Monster Hunter World, they did increase the movesets of all of the existing weapons, expanding them to try and make them all feel slightly flashier like Generations, but still approachable and still at least somewhat realistic. This, along with some really solid entries as far as the new monsters, made Monster Hunter World the most popular game in the entire series, with an especially large explosion of new players coming in from the West, where again, even just one generation prior, Monster Hunter was very
crazy.
niche outside of Japan, and so this game release was a real major turning point for the series. You'll notice from this point forward, an attempt to release the games more and more on PC, and more at the same time as the rest of the consoles, because PC gaming is a lot more popular in the West, and also the fact that every game since this time has released simultaneously worldwide, and of course just the notable marketing being done for the series now in the West too. For veteran players, outside of the novelty of all this, there were some down points with Monster Hunter World. While it expanded on the famed Wyvern monster category, which previously only had Zinogre in it, it focused on this category maybe a bit too much. There were no fanged beasts, there were no carapacians, no amphibians, snakes, insects, any of the funkier large monster types were just absent from the scheme. They stuck mostly to only a few basic skeletons and making as many monsters as they could around those skeletons. In hindsight, this is quite clearly the early limitations of a new engine, and this is because of all the other things that they did in Monster Hunter World to innovate the game. But even with that considered, the roster of monsters in Base World is still full of beloved creatures. 19 new monsters if
we did
include
get
title
Odo,
updates, but don't include things like Behemoth and Leshen that aren't really Monster Hunter creatures. Among those, quite a few fan favorites were added here too as well, such as the flagship Nergigante or Bazelgeuse, who everyone has the theme music of baked into their brain. This was also the game that introduced the Slinger to the series as a concept, a way to offer a few different variations of ranged options to every hunter, some with special effects, and this was actually brought back and reiterated in Monster Hunter Wilds. As well, very importantly, two major features from the older games were changed up quite a bit for World. Tracking monsters was no longer done using knowledge and paintballs and searching manually. It was now done by collecting their footprints or droppings and then having scout flies pick up the scent and lead you to them. Some players weren't a big fan of this change, but I view it as both a quality of life improvement and a massive gain in immersion as well. And frankly, I'm sort of sad that this wasn't brought back in Wilds. I don't think it needed to be in Wilds, but I did really like this feature of World. Another really big change was that you can move while drinking potions. The movement is of course slowed down walking. It's not regular movement speed, but compared to all previous games in the series where you had to stop on the spot until the animation was finished, being able to move while healing is a massive change. And then to go along with that, there were now tents on the open world maps that had your full item box inside of them. In the old games, you had the resources you could pick in the pouch, and then anything you picked up on the map or supply items. Nothing more than that. But World started a new system allowing you to restock items whenever you want, as long as you can get to a tent. This singular change has had one of the largest impacts on monster design over the years. And whether you think it is good or bad, it has undeniably pushed the challenge and difficulty of monsters towards attacks that can kill you in one hit, or combos that are so fast that you don't get the opportunity to heal, as opposed to in a lot of the older games, a lot of the challenge was from monsters just slowly peeling back your stock of healing until you eventually run out before you empty their health bar. This game also added full freedom for expeditions, meaning that you could just go to any map for any reason, random monsters would spawn, and you could hunt them if you wanted, you could gather items, it was fully up to you, it was your choice. Then the endgame brought in investigations. These were semi-randomized hunts for a specific target monster, with things like variable maps, time limits, reward quality, number of feints, all of that stuff, and this system is something that has returned again since multiple times. The game's endgame monster variation was tempered monsters. This gave the monster a sort of shiny metallic sheen across their whole body, increased the damage that they deal, and generally also
tempered, we got guardians,
and
we
in some cases increased their health.
Frenzy.
This system was not in Rise and Sunbreak, but has returned once more in Monster Hunter Wilds. There were also arch-tempered versions of each Elder Dragon added with their own unique armor sets as rewards, and some of them even getting extra moves added in for those versions too. This was also the first game with title updates as a main feature, which were additional monsters and quests added past the initial release of the game on a pretty regular schedule, essentially giving us months and months of more Monster Hunter after the release of the game, which definitely made a lot of people quite happy as well, but some people were upset that that stuff wasn't in the game to begin with. It's a whole thing. This feature also continued on the story from base Monster Hunter World, which was by far the most effort put into a Monster Hunter story so far, with tons of fully voiced cutscenes and interactions between the characters, not to mention that this was the first game to use the modern versions of equipment skills, switching away from the more convoluted method of the past. The next year, in 2019, we had the release of the Iceborne expansion worldwide for Xbox and PlayStation, with the PC release coming 6 months later. The main feature that this expansion added across the whole game was the Clutch Claw. This was a sort of extra variation on the Slinger. It allowed you to grip and pull yourself onto monsters and grapple them, and
I like
use
the sword
this
and shield.
position for one
You could
of
do
two
that
main
uppercut.
things. You could either tenderize the monster part you were attached to, which was an attack that then made that part take more damage for a period of
I
time
don't think it was there
afterwards. Also interacting
at
with
the
things
start.
like the weakness exploit skill, and the other option was to shoot Slinger ammo point blank to try and throw the monster's head into a wall and get a free knockdown, as well as a big pile of extra damage. Doing this did percent health damage, and doing it once or twice would always enrage a monster. This did funky things like making Agitator, the skill that gives you affinity and attack when
Almost
a monster is
standard,
enraged,
pretty
way
much.
more popular because monsters were always enraged. Because of how strong both of these things were, they become extremely important to keep up with and do as often as you can, which made them an inignorable part of the gameplay loop in the entire expansion. On top of this, all of the weapons got new attacks once again, some of which playing around the Clutch Claw itself, like Hammer being able to spin combo out of its charge attacks into a Clutch Claw, but generally speaking, the new attacks were very much much enjoyed by the players. This, for the first time, added in Master Rank difficulty as a replacement for G Rank, but it was essentially the same idea, a higher difficulty level for the expansion itself, and there were also 17 new monsters in this expansion, if we also include the title updates.
10
11 of
minutes.
them were subspecies, rare species, or variants. Then there was Velkhana as the proper flagship of the expansion. But
I
then
like
also
Velkhana.
there were monsters like Namiel, who is one of the craziest and awesomest designs in the series. This game continued the tempered monsters from the base game, but then also expanded into the Guiding Lands as an endgame mechanic too. A new map with multiple different biomes attached to each other, with randomized monster spawns all connected together. If that sounds a bit like the Everwood from the 4th generation, I described it that way on purpose, because the Guiding Lands is essentially an evolution of the Everwoods. This was a really cool concept, a way to have nearly every monster in the game able to interact with each other if they spawned at the right time by having these mixed biomes on the same map. It added a ton of fun replayability to the endgame that was extremely unique to Iceborne itself too, and while it was pretty janky at first launch, the devs released patch after patch
That was very
changing the
brave
way
of
the
you.
Guiding Lands work to make it better and better for the player. And a little remembered fact is that Iceborne had a mechanic where you could mount small monsters and have them bring you to things or places of interest, which clearly was the original inspiration for Palamutes in Rise and Sunbreak, and eventually for the Sacred in Wilds as well. This trend of title updates continued for this expansion as well, and it of course culminated in the fantastic rework of Fatalis, a monster all the way from the very first game of the series, but remade with so much passion and effort and detail that he felt like he may as well be a new creature as a result, and some players are still trying to beat him for the first time, which is really impressive. In 2021, we then had our most recent full game of the series released before a while,
Rise.
which was Monster Hunter Rise. This is the portable game of the 5th generation, the Monster Hunter Generations equivalent, and it had a bunch of new experimental features that completely changed the way that this game felt compared to Monster Hunter World. There was, of course, the Palamute, a second hunting pal to go along with the Palico, except this one was a dog that you could ride around on as a mount. To go along with this, every map in Rise was made with the idea that if you could see it, you could go there. Sitting on the ground where you find them, you could now pick them up, carry them with you, and then just throw them at a monster? That was sort of crazy. Then there was also the Spirit Bird mechanic with all the floating, glowing birds along common pathways in the map, each one giving you some stat upgrades when you go through them that only last for the rest of the quest.
Very
That
controversial.
combined with the weapon mechanics we'll get into in a moment just made the game feel extremely arcade-like, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all. The pace was super quick, immersion was a secondary
minutes.
thought this time around, but quality of life was extremely high in this version of Monster Hunter, and it was clearly designed with fun, fast fun, as a singular main goal. As for weapon changes, we had the introduction of switch skills, which was essentially fully revamped hunting styles from Generations and Generations Ultimate, where instead of picking from preset movesets, you instead could change individual parts of your moveset,
Pretty dope.
customizing it to be whatever felt right to you and whatever you liked most in that moment. This fit alongside the wire bug system, which was also like a revamped version of Hunter Arts, where instead of the gauge building up while you hunt, it is instead a set number of wire bugs you have as a resource, and when you spend them, they regenerate on a timer. You could use these for traversal, you could use them as part of attacks. They had a fair bit of variety to them in the way they worked, and they left a lot of choices to the player on how to use them. Outside of that, probably the most unique feature was the replacement for mounting. In Monster Hunter World, we got was essentially a more expanded and immersive version of the same mounting concept from 4th generation, but in Monster Hunter Rise, this was replaced completely with wyvern riding, where you essentially use wire bugs to control monsters, you mount them and ride them around,
I think
controlling their
that's like
actions,
the connection
making
to
them do
stories in a
attacks
way.
against other monsters, and this led to people literally using monsters as weapons. Rather than mounting your intended target, you would instead mount a different monster and then go attack the target with them. On top of this, the base game added in the Rampage mechanic, which was essentially tower defense against waves of large monsters, which is a really cool concept that it didn't feel quite right in execution, but I can see where they were coming from. And this is likely why it was left out of the expansion game, because it wasn't received too well. That said, along with the Rampage system, there were Apex monsters, but not like the Apex monsters from 4th generation. These were a new monster variation, exclusive to Rise and Sunbreak, but for the most part, they were completely inspired by deviants from Generation
Sunbreak
to
is still,
Generation
like,
Ultimate,
one of
and were
my
basically
favorites.
just an excuse to bring back those same concepts. A lot of the Apex monsters just had moves just completely directly lifted from them, if not their entire moveset. That said, in total, Rise had 19 new monsters to add to the series. 6 of them were Apexes, one of them is essentially a variation of Valstrax, one is a second variation of the final boss, which was added in within title updates, and the others are all extremely creative, fantastic Monster Hunter monsters, 2 of which are some of my all-time favorite creatures. Rachnikadaki, the mother spider who uses your babies as
And Gos
werebugs,
Harag, he's pretty
essentially,
cool.
and then Gos Harag, the big, brutal serial killer polar bear who forms great swords on his arms made of ice, and then also scratches his back against walls because he's a bear. This game initially launched without the proper ending to its main story, which came through title updates, but the title updates each had quite a few monsters in them, and also came out extremely quickly after the initial release of the base game. A lot of people attribute the initial unfinished story to the time of the game's development, as with the game being released in 2021, that means a lot of the sort of later touches would have needed to be done in 2020, a year I dare not specify what was going on in the world with for
5
fear of the
minutes.
YouTube algorithm smiting me down.
Maybe
In
early.
January of 2022, the game released for PC, and then moving on to June of 2022, we had the release of the Sunbreak expansion, the Master Rank editions for Monster Hunter Rise.
Sunbreak.
This was notable
Still
for
one of my
being the
favorites.
first Monster Hunter title to release simultaneously for PC as the main console options, showing the significantly growing interest in Monster Hunter on PC. Specifically, which especially makes sense given that Sunbreak was otherwise a Switch exclusive at the time, or at least it was until April of 2023 when the game did release for PlayStation and Xbox as well. The Sunbreak expansion was like a mini love letter to the West. Our main hub had a very sort of medieval, European, or even specifically
Pretty
British
cool.
feel to it, and instead of the new monsters being related to yokai, like they all were in base Rise, the new ones in Sunbreak were all supposed to represent classic Western horror monsters. Things like the Three Lords, the main trio of the game,
werewolf.
who were Garangolm, inspired by Frankenstein, of course, Lunagaron, also inspired, of course, by the werewolf as a concept, as he swaps stance from 4-legged to 2-legged in combat, and then of course Malzeno, who is deeply
Malzeno.
tied to the Curio, which are like bats fused with leeches, so blood-sucking bats. And Malzeno himself wraps his wings around himself like the classic concept of a vampire hiding behind their cloak. Otherwise, the monster roster was once again mostly dedicated to monster variations, as is relatively standard for an expansion. The endgame system was all based around the Curios and afflicted monsters, which was sort of similar to Frenzy in function, making the monsters act erratically, but adding a mechanic where certain body parts would have the Curios on them, and if you beat up those parts when this happened, you'd get extra pops of damage, which sounds a little bit like wounds in Monster Hunter Wilds, so they definitely tried to make this a bit more interesting along the way too. This system then was tied long-term to the Anomaly Investigations, which in some ways was a return of the investigation system from Monster Hunter World. This also had its own quirks with how you could progress the levels of the system, which was more similar to Apex monsters in 4 Ultimate. Overall, this system was quite divisive, as were Rise and Sunbreak as the game and expansion as a whole. They were very different from World and Iceborne, even though you can clearly trace back almost every mechanic as being inspired or just directly reused from a prior Monster Hunter game, and I find that quite interesting. Personally, I was a big fan of Rise and Sunbreak, and I think a part of that is just an appreciation for how wildly different every iteration of Monster Hunter can be, while still undeniably feeling like it is Monster Hunter. The expansion, of course, also followed the trend of title updates post-launch, and while it definitely tried to hit that same mark of challenge with its final title updates as the Iceborne expansion did for Monster Hunter World, it hit it in a very different way. The final official title update was the return of Amatsu, a big, powerful beastie from the 3rd generation originally, whose fight was made to be cinematic as hell in Sunbreak, and really just sort of accentuate the Wirebug's traversal and the variety that it can offer as an option. I absolutely adored that fight, but the final monster that was actually added to the game was Primordial Malzeno, who fit like the perfect cap to the story of the entire game. This was a version of Malzeno struggling to fight off the Curios, but occasionally giving in, resulting in an absolutely wild encounter that I still think is one of the more challenging fights of the main series as a whole, and the cutscene that follows it just perfectly ends Sunbreak in general. This brings us to now, today,
Sunbreak
where
was
the
such a good
current
expansion.
Monster
If you
Hunter
haven't
game is
played it,
Monster Hunter Wilds, released
so
in
fun.
February of 2025.
Wilds.
It's being enjoyed by tons of people around the world. It had a simultaneous release on PC and consoles, and it has so far followed the title update pattern started by the 5th generation games too. I won't go through all of Wilds, of course, as it's the extremely new game. We all know what's going on with it, but as we reach this part of the timeline of the series, I just want to sort of take a moment here to think backwards. Think about Wilds and everything involved in it that makes it unique and makes it special. And then think about all of the connections between those to mechanics that were in some way tested or tried or introduced previously in a different Monster Hunter game and iterated on again and again to reach what we have today. Wilds is a marvelous game full of unique gameplay and experiences, but almost every one of them can be traced back in some way to an origin in a previous Monster Hunter game. And
There's
that's
a hunter in all of
why I
us.
wanted to make this video now, was to say, especially for those who have only found the series with its most recent entries, exactly how much this series has evolved.
And even if you
time
just
and how
joined
much you
now
can
with
follow
Wilds,
these
you're a
threads.
hunter.
Because I find it just really, really
Don't
cool
let anybody
to
tell you
follow
you're
this
not.
and the patterns that got us to where we are now. That just about does it for today, everyone. Something a bit different and a bit longer than what we
time.
normally do here on the channel, but it was something that I wanted to do, sort of in
downloading
celebration
right
of
now.
Monster Hunter Wilds, and of course in celebration of Monster Hunter as a whole. I hope you've all enjoyed this, and if there's any other context you think is worth knowing about with all of this, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies.
Let's see, where is it? Let's see. Yeah. I like these.
Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman go mad. So be wise and keep on reading the signs of my body. I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel you, boy. Come on, let's go. Real slow. Don't you see, baby, I see it's perfect. Babe, I know I'm on tonight, my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel it's right. All the attraction, the tension. Don't you see, baby, this is perfection. Oh boy, I can see your body moving, half animal, half.
Alright, let's see. Alright, here we go. My controller here. Oh boy. Let's see what you're looking like. I guess because it's doing the shaders. Text. Yeah. Yeah. My age? Okay. And now everybody will know. Data, yeah, I get it. Don't be a dick. Alright, now we go. Everything should be good now. Wow. It looks so pretty. Options first. Minimap pick. No vibration, please. Alright. So the level should be a little better there. Let's see, let's play with it. Yeah, that's fine. Everything should be good. No motion blur. None of that. And we'll set it to what it is on my monitor. I think everything should be good, right? Melee attack, out of center. Yeah, I don't like that on. All right. All right, we're gonna be a boy. And then choose that one. Kind of brown because I'm a brown boy. What was that? That looks fine. Bushy. We'll go with those. Maybe. Sure. Oops. Old man. Gotta give it texture. That's fine. Unenthused, maybe. I like those. Hearts, we could put hearts. Stars. Let's go with that. Yeah. Interesting. Big eyes. I got brown eyes. You can give yourself teeth. The one tooth. Three types of hairstyles. Kinda. Happy with that. Kind of. put like bangs. That's nifty. Yeah, we're gonna stick with that. Cosmetic effects. I guess that's like makeups. Earrings. That's neat. But oh man, I used to wear glasses. An eye patch. You can give yourself the ears. I think we'll leave that like that. Oh man, look at me. All right. And my name is Jack. Let's go. Alright, cutscenes are 60. This looks so good. Oh yeah, I remember those. Hmm.
Oh.
Wait, stay back! Queen Amara.
She's a queen, okay. It's little Jack.
Let us commence. The rite of emergence.
I can hear them. Two sounds. Overlapping each other. There's one.
Oh, cool. So little.
That's a Rathalos, plain as day.
It's a miracle. An extinct species here in our kingdom.
And two.
There's two raptors.
They're twins. An ill omen indeed. And look at their scales. Like those of the accursed sky scale Rathalos.
Twin monsters are a portent of disaster. Should you wish to oppose this omen, ancient custom dictates that only one may live.
Oh, yeah, that's not cool. There I am. All right.
Here comes Simon.
Hate to ruin your fun, but you better get back.
Just give me 1 second. This monster is a rare specimen. For all we know, it could have been the master of this forest.
Looks pretty cooped up, all stuck like that.
Some people say egg quartz is a gift from the very distant past.
My gift?
The light of their lives may have gone out, but they have much to tell us about the world they lived in. Observing egg quartz teaches us about monsters that have gone extinct. In my book, we couldn't have asked the past for anything better.
I suppose you're right. Still, how did they even
Gone
get stuck in
extinct?
there? What really happened to them? Not very nice. Putting us to work solving this big confusing mystery of theirs.
I guess not. But that's what we Rangers are here for.
Come on, let's head back. The rookie's inaugural expedition is today, right?
Yeah, but not until the afternoon. Ah! Oh, this is bad. I have important business to do.
Important business?
Yeah, the royal kind.
That really is bad.
We need to get back, fast.
All right, here we go. Wow, this looks nice. This is as far as I got in the demo pretty much, and then I knew I wanted to save it. Oh, look at him. Oh, wow. To ride the updraft and take flight. Okay.
Hi. Hey.
Poogie.
Your Highness! Where are you?
The air? Can't say I've seen him.
That's Prince to you!
Cora. Okay.
Where in all Azuria's Highness?
Oh, keep it down. I'm trying to sleep here. The lad is elbow deep in egg quartz as usual.
Ogden.
That lad is your prince! And when is he expected to return?
His tardiness? He should be back soon enough.
Call. Murray.
That's your prince, you repute rebel of Rubes! Here he comes now!
And Thea.
Hey, Captain!
Gotta hurry.
Right.
The following actions are available at Catavan Stand. Save progress, fast travel, change the time of day. Some features cannot be used until they are unlocked via the story. Okay.
Your Highness!
Wow. We've come a long way, stories. The Catavan is undergoing maintenance, but I can record your progress, at least. We look forward to your continued patronage. Oh my goodness. So herbivore, small, extremely tractable herbivores that can be found throughout Azuria. Their fluffy, high-quality fur has been used in clothing and ceremonial tools since ancient times. 10 years ago, this Skystale Rathalos was born from an egg quartz that Amara discovered in Blightstone Woods. One of a pair of twins. It serves as the prince's Monstie. The Ranger files include the following documents: Monsterpedia, Ranger Fundamentals, and Ranger Records. Okay. Got base controls. The fly. Man, they got right into it. Shepherd hare, the Azurian skyfowl, bloat toad, scowbill. Neat. Alright, so. Wow. So those are the stables. And they actually have like the monsters in there now. That's pretty neat. Yeah. Wow. We've come a long way, stories.
Your Highness.
Welcome back, Your Highness. His Majesty awaits your return. Please proceed to the throne room at once. RB, show objectives. This will show a pin for your current destination, and Rudy will explain your goals.
Your Highness!
Okay. Oh, look, they're fighting like the Barioth. That's pretty neat. These little guys carrying little berries and stuff. That's cool. Alright, let's go. Let's go. Welcome back. You're full of energy as usual, Your Highness. I try, man. I had my coffee.
Your Majesty.
Come forward.
Is that my papa?
Please forgive my delay, Father.
How go the Rangers, then? Have you made any progress with the encroachment?
Not yet. Nevertheless, our research continues to bear fruit. This morning, in fact, we discovered egg quartz at a new location.
Just like 200 years ago.
A harbinger of conflict to come.
Conflict?
They speak of the Rift War, 2 centuries ago. Records from that era note the appearance of crystallized monsters.
And this has relations with Vermeil Frey. Forgive me, Your Majesty, but this resurgence, it cannot be coincidence.
We have called you here to update you on their movements. We have received tidings of Vermeil mobilizing arms.
What?
The Rangers, too, may well be forced to take up arms when the time comes. Stay at the ready.
At the ready? The Rangers aren't a combat force. They exist to research
They exist for the kingdom. And you are the sole Rathalos rider in Azuria. Should the need arise, you will be tasked with duties only you can fulfill.
Yes, sir.
We have organized talks with the Vermilion envoys. You will attend as well.
Me?
Your Majesty, are you sure of this?
What about it?
It's just...
If I may, Your Majesty. The Vermeil situation is rather delicate. Our front relations have reignited protests over the incident from 10 years ago. Some denounce the actions of former Queen Amara, the Vermilion who married into our royal house. Entangling the prince in these political machinations will surely endanger him.
Dispatch the Rangers.
No matter. This is an order, do you understand?
Yes, Father.
We shall summon you again. You may go.
Kind of tense.
Why the long face? Your meeting go that badly?
It sounds like we're on the brink of war with Vermeil.
Oh. Well, that would explain why that aristocracy's been so on edge lately.
I've been ordered to join the Vermilion peace talks, but what good can I do?
The king clearly has high expectations of you. It's a good opportunity. You should go.
Easy for you to say. Come on, you must have heard what people say about me behind my back.
What'd they say?
Son of the Turncoat Queen. That's what they call me. I hear it everywhere I go.
The only talk
That's
I hear
unfortunate.
of Lady Amara is as the founder of the Rangers and an intrepid protector of monsters. We, me and the Rangers, have nothing but respect for her. Look, what I'm trying to say is, we've all got your back, so stand tall. We know you can do this.
Thanks, Simon.
Now come on, we've got a job to do. That rookie isn't going to train herself, Captain.
Right.
Your Highness, have you attended to your duties?
I have.
This is such an honor, Captain. Getting to train under you is nothing short of a dream come true.
We haven't had a chance to talk yet, have we? Good to have you on board. I hear you're an excellent rider for your age.
What, me? Heck, it ain't nothing special. Riding's just a part of life is all. But forget about me, Captain. You're the amazing one. You're the one and only Rathalos rider in all of Azuria. Maybe the world.
Huh. Well,
Wherever you go, I'll follow. Poison swamps, Gypceros nests, you name it, I'm there. Just take me under your wing.
I am companion enough for the prince, thank you.
All right.
Right. Listen up, recruit. Our first stop is Blightstone Woods. That's where we'll begin. Your inaugural expedition is meant to show you how we Rangers do things. Which means we'll surely be encountering monsters. You'd best prepare accordingly.
You got it. Aye, aye, Captain.
All right. The base. The base is where the Rangers gather. Here you can have a meal at the Ranger mess and access the chest to perform various functions. The following actions can be performed at the chest: change appearance, change armor color, change layered armor and color, change companion outfits, and view the gallery. All right, so this is the chest. You can change clothes. You can use change companion outfits to change your okay. What outfits do we have for him? So they all have like different. What? I have to buy that? Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with whatever is a regular. He gets so many. Magnamalo. A little sailor outfit. Okay. All black. You got layered armor. Oh, from the first one. Rise. The second Stories game. That's the wild. Wow. I can look the same as I do in Wilds. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good luck and all that. Toby Kadachi. So we have the Bird Wyvern, Young Kutuku. And then we have the Toby Kadachi. Alright. Yeah. The base. Okay, it's just teaching me the same stuff as. What else you got over here? Said I can eat the mess. Wow. This looks really good. The mess. Her successor too, of course. Doesn't matter to any of us what the stuffed shirts have to say, and don't you forget it. You said I could eat here, right? Alright, whatever. Guess I can't eat yet. Unless the mess is over here. Wow. This looks really cool. I really like this. The preparations.
Oh, look at the sky.
Alright, so that's gonna be the blacksmith. Gonna be the stow. Meowsers. Why, hello, Prince Jack. We need more time, so feel free to come back a little later. Okay, buddy. Oh, the little lads. Hey, what's taking so long?
Okay.
This is your first real mission as a ranger. First, let's ride our monsters to that overlook. That looks familiar.
Yes.
Roger. But you know, Captain, I figured my inaugural expedition was going to be in the Blightstone Woods. Right you are. I'll explain in detail later.
Well,
Looks like we're starting off with a skill every ranger must learn. Monster calling. Oh, Lito. See, you got the Toby. You can run with him. Neat. Hold up, hold up. Leveled up already. The Velociprey around here have been wreaking havoc on the Amptonoth ecosystem lately. As rangers, we can't let this stand. We'll slay the Velociprey. Think of it as a chance to test your skills. Alright, so you gotta fight these monsters. Caution and Icon. Is that a Plesia? Appear over strong monsters. Okay, so different levels.
Hey. We can handle it together.
all right.
This is looking good.
Hey.
A Velociprey, huh? I would call that a perfect opponent to test the rookie skills. Looks like that Velociprey is aiming to you, Thea. Why don't you try handling this by yourself?
Yes.
Roger. A fight against a fleet-footed Velociprey is a contest of speed.
Careful.
Yo, when you and your opponent are targeting each other directly, you'll enter a head-to-head. For the 3 attack types, power beats technical, technical beats speed, and speed beats power. Keep that in mind. Okay, clear that wasn't the right plan of attack. The opponent used the speed attack too. As such, the clash ended in a draw.
Keep an eye out.
See the battle line? That shows you who the monster is going to target next. It would seem I'm the target this time around.
Well,
Your Highness, show the rookie how it's done. Velociprey prefers speed attacks. I don't need to tell you what approach to take here. That's speed, right? So you want to go technical. You see the arrows? That overcomes that. It's kind of like Fire Emblem. I think that's the game. Right. You can handle piercing, cutting, and blunt attack.
Nice.
well, Captain.
That's the way, Captain. You read its moves like a pro.
Okay.
Next, aim for a double attack. You and your monster should both use attacks with a type advantage.
Let's see.
But neither Ratha nor Kagachi have attacks with type advantage against the Velociprey, do they?
No.
All you need is belief. At times like this, you just have to switch monsters. Come, Your Highness. Commander Yuan Kutku out into battle. Okay. Left bumper. You can order your Yuan Kutku to the front line. From there, command it to use Fireball. Oh.
Counting on you.
Yes.
A Yuan Kutku is no slouch compared to a Velociprey. Let's try a double attack against a Velociprey.
Okay.
Thea, you know what you need to execute a double attack now? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, sir. The rider just has to use a technical attack. Amazing, Captain. A magnificent display of double attack mastery. Double attacks allow you to do huge damage and avoid enemy attacks, and it boosts your kinship. Am I the only one seeing something coming our way? Otro más. Seriously? Jumping poogie snoots. That's a Velocidrome.
Seriously?
At the head of the pack? Thea, brace yourself. No wonder this one leads those other crested cuckoos.
So, listen.
I doubt normal attacks will suffice here. This might be a good time to use the skill. Many skills are powerful, but they consume stamina, so think before you use them. Oh, there's stamina in this now?
Careful.
Stamina may recover naturally, but be careful not to overdo it. Your active skills vary according to your weapon available. Active skills can be further increased by adding a decoration.
Okay.
Now then, let's see some skills in action. Alright, so X. I'll give Charge Tackle a try. Skills have 3 attack types to choose from. Pick one with the type advantage over the opponent. Alright, so they're technical. Yeah, you want to go this, right? Because see, break bonus on the head would be the hammer. Right. You did it, Captain.
So, listen.
Unlike normal attacks, skills can reduce a monster's Wyvern Soul gauge. The red little rubies up there. Okay. This makes it much easier to slay monsters, so make sure to plug away at those Wyvern Soul gauges. Alright, alright. Okay. Now then, let's whittle down the Velocidrome's Wyvern Soul gauge. So he's attacking that guy.
Nice one.
Nice. And then one more. Hey, Captain. That Velocidrome is mighty angry. When in rage, monsters tend to change up their attack patterns. And fair warning, attack tendencies also change depending on a monster's form. Most monsters will undergo transformations during battle. When a transformation occurs, the behavior and attack types of that monster will change. Nice. Well done, kiddo.
Nice one.
Top of Synchro Rush. There goes its Wyvern Soul gauge. The Velocidrome is down.
All right.
Time to go all out. Finish it with a Synchro Rush.
This'll do it.
Oh, so it's kind of like Persona a little. Nice.
You did it.
No, Thea. We did it.
So, listen.
Synchro Rushes deal tons of damage. Don't miss the chance to unleash one when you can. Ooh.
Yeah. We did it. Good work.
Thea, think you got the basics of combat?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I think I can handle the next battle solo.
That should work.
Glad to hear it. I'll be counting on you. Alright, experience points to victory. And then if your hearts reach 0, you lose the battle. You can then restart from a nearby catavan stand. And then when the battle is finished, HP and hearts will be fully recovered. All abnormal statuses will be cured, and stamina will return to its base value. That's pretty good.
You did it!
I can hardly believe we took that sucker down. Rightio. We were heading for an overlook, if I recall. Right. We're heading for that overlook. There's a lookout point there. From there, we'll search for the forest entrance. Alright, to the tower.
Yes.
I see. So that's what overlooks are for? Let's go check it out.
Well.
Oh. And then this is gonna be the ore. Mushrooms or plants. Ivy? Nope. Bone. I hear something over there. We got this. Here we are at the overlook. Now head up to the lookout point. Roger. Although, Captain, I thought that Ratha couldn't climb lookout points.
No.
Correct. I brought a Toby Kadachi capable of climbing walls. Switching between monsters lets you go all sorts of places. They're like training you right at the beginning. You hold LB. Nice. Let's save it real quick. I don't have to push a button. I could just go. Okay. Nice. Nice. This is so smooth. Greetings, Jack. And I suppose this is the fresh face to the ranger ranks I've been hearing about.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. The name's Thea, the newest ranger recruit. Who exactly is this kitty captain?
Uh-huh.
This is an explorer feline. They travel all over the world drawing up maps wherever they go. Precisely. We chart maps at lookout points across the land. If you talk to one of us, we'll happily hand over a map. Speaking of which, here's a detailed map of the region I surveyed. A fitting gift for a rookie setting off on her inaugural expedition. Well, thank you, kitty. Whoa. Thank you so much. Having a map like this will make visiting a new place super easy.
By the way.
Incidentally, allow me to instruct you on how to use lookout points. Could I borrow your spyglass? Why, it would be my honor. You should be able to observe the path to the woods from the spyglass. Nothing else around here. Thing's huge.
Let's see.
Now, where's the entrance to Blightstone Woods? Why don't you try looking around? Look to the right first.
Oh.
Captain, there's something I want to check out. Then you should look at that icon. Blightstone Woods is on the other side of that path.
You did it!
It gets more crystallized the further we go, which means we should be able to take that road to Blightstone Woods. Well, well, well. You figured it out in no time at all. Now we know which way we should go. Lookout points can be used to discover all sorts of places. Be sure to look for points of interest when you have the time. Everybody's so cheery. You can also place markers so you don't forget a location. Oh, so it's where we need to go. Let's make it red.
All right.
I've got friends in all corners of the world. Be sure to say hello whenever you run into one. Bitterbug. Honey. Nice. What's over here, though? Oh, why, hello, Prince. Thank you for always looking after Thea. These vineyards are managed by Thea's father. Used to wrangle all sorts of poogies, too. Okay. Trap tools. Okay, so the crafting probably. Alright, let's go see what this is about. Collect all the things. Here's something.
Oh?
The fruit on that tree is ripe for plucking. Maybe we could do some gathering before her inaugural expedition. We sure could, although grabbing fruit from such a tall tree would be a real poogie of a job. You can count on your Monsi at times like these. Hit the tree with a breath or melee attack to make sure it drops fruit that you can gather. Okay. You occasionally acquire trade items and trade points while gathering. Trade points can be exchanged for items at the Melnix Emporium in cities and at campsites. Captain, I've always wanted to see Ratha's breath attack.
All right.
If you insist, here Ratha will show you how it's done. Alright, while riding, B, melee attack. Melee attack on large gathering points in the world to acquire a large amount of items. Right trigger, use breath. Hold right trigger, move the camera. Okay. Hitting a monster with breath can knock it down, allow you to pick up dropped items. You can also approach a monster you have knocked down to initiate a preemptive strike. That's pretty neat. Okay. So we're gonna use it on these things. Oh, nice. There's another cat event then. Another save. Is there any more stuff around here? Ashen Pass.
What's this?
What is this? Alright, doesn't do anything. Guessing there would be something over here at some point. Alright, through Ashen Pass.
Right, we're here. Let's get your inaugural expedition underway.
Aye, Captain. Ready for action.
Well, that's the spirit. Now, as for the work at hand, we're going to explore the forest and have you look for monster eggs.
You got it. But that's all we're doing? Looking for eggs?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It may not sound glamorous, but egg hunting's one of our essential tasks. And this is how we find the monsties who become our partners, after all. But that's not all. There's another reason egg hunts are so important to we Rangers.
And, what reason is that?
It's simple. Counterintuitive though it may seem, egg hunts are a way for us to protect endangered monster species. When we find an endangered species egg, we take it and hatch it. Then, we can return it to the wild, bolstering their population.
That really does set you all apart from your average riders. What a great thing to do!
By the way, do you know why more and more monsters are on the brink of extinction?
Environmental changes brought on by the encroachment, maybe?
Right on the money. You really do live up to your reputation.
I'm still learning.
That's all the more impressive. But we think there may be another factor at play. In addition to the crystal encroachment, that is. Are you familiar with feral monsters?
Feral monsters... Oh, yeah. They're sort of like regular monsters, but super strong and aggressive, right? From what I heard, no one's ever encountered one of those beasts and lived to tell the tale.
Huh? Hold on a moment. That can't be right.
Huh? What do you mean it can't be right?
If no one survived, how would the rest of us even know how strong they are?
Whoa! I never thought about that! You're sharp, little guy!
True.
Well, you've got the super strong part right at least. Their might defies the very laws of nature. Now imagine what that power does to an ecosystem. I'll tell you more about feral monsters down the line.
I am all ears.
We should probably get going. You can give her the lesson on the move.
Aye!
By the way,
There are plants on the Ashen Pass we can harvest. Make sure to pick up any you come across. I wonder if keeping it like this would just... I don't know. Combining an essential preparation for any monster encounter. You can make a potion by combining an herb and a blue mushroom. Man, they're getting right into it. Okay. Wise jump. And then you get the glide. Okay. Ooh. Let's go.
Let's go! Got this!
This slashing weapon is specially made to deal damage. Charge gauge fills by winning head-to-heads or using certain skills. Increases the power of skills in proportion to the level of the gauge. Alright, so that one's hitting me. These guys, they're not speed, they're probably technical. So let's do a power attack. And since you're attacking me...
amazing!
Oh, cool, you hit them all.
You did it! All right! Yeah! On to the next!
Magia charm recipe. So you push start now to do this stuff. The combined feature. Alright, so this is our crafting. Make 3. You can view your items and eggs on the pouch screen. Do we need to put them inside a little... Oh, yes. Story. You can review the following story summaries. View the geography and information in the map. And then there's the mini map. So we gotta keep going north. Let's go.
We can handle it together.
Let's go! All right! Yeah, I'll take it!
All right.
Well done, kid.
You did it!
We got this!
All right!
Good job, Ratha.
Nice!
You did it!
Yeah!
The high five. Okay.
What?
Look there. It's a Poogie. And he's got yellow shorts on. Is that my family's Poogie? So it was in a place like this. What's Poogie from back home doing all the way out here?
Let's see.
We had a heck of a storm a while back. The poor spooked Poogies all ran off together, and we've been looking for them ever since.
Hey,
Think we could do something about it? We're in the middle of her inaugural expedition, but surely we could rescue it. You go near Poogie? Push A. Yellow crown.
What's this?
Well, they are royalty. And then he truffles away. Okay. So I can have 3 change battle allies. 2 Legianas. He's got the Pookie Pookie. I love Pookie Pookie. All right, let's get you.
Got the upper hand! Alright!
Nice. I need to do that.
Looking good! You did it!
Yeah!
We did it!
Pretty fun. Let's try this.
Got the upper hand! Alright! Get him!
What is that?
You did it!
Yeah!
We did it!
Spider web, corrosive fluid.
Let's give it our all.
Let's go! Got this! Yeah! I got it!
Yes!
Alright!
Nice.
Nice!
The sound effects are pretty nice. This is clean.
Now's a chance!
You did it!
Thanks. Now I could take out this one. I got 2 charges, 1 more, and I could do the true charge slash.
We did it!
What's keeping me from getting an S rank? Oh, what's this guy?
I'd heard the stories, but this is something else. It really does look like a giant egg.
Well, they do call it egg quartz for a reason.
What's that inside?
A Kezu.
Kezu.
You hardly see any these days, but they were once pretty common.
Is it, alright to touch?
Of course. It's not like you're going to hurt it.
The first egg quartz was discovered around 200 years ago. After that, however, there were no other discoveries until 10 years ago, when people started finding egg quartz everywhere.
I wonder what changed.
No one knows. There's no rhyme or reason to where egg quartz appears, or what monsters it encases. With that said, I think getting to the bottom of the encroachment is our duty as rangers.
Unraveling the world's greatest mysteries? Man, the rangers are so cool!
This is when most rookies get cold feet. Courage is commendable, but safety comes first. No matter what happens, don't forget that.
I already like this guy better than the other guy.
Sir? That's not bad.
Okay.
The There should be a pack of Velociprey just up ahead. If you're looking to avoid a skirmish, try using a Monsty Roar.
Yes.
Oh, I get it. You can use that moment to slip by any monsters. And then left trigger is Roar. Okay, okay. That's a neat. This is neat.
What's this?
Ah, wrong one.
We can handle it together.
Whoops.
Go! All right.
Well, here's a technical one, so.
You did it!
Ooh. Nice.
All right! You did it!
Nice, nice, nice.
We did it!
Because I got hit 825. Ooh, a caravan stand.
Huh? Look!
Yeah. Monster eggs.
That's a rare pattern. Are they bird wyvern eggs?
It could be an ultra-rare endangered species!
I wouldn't get my hopes up. Look, the calling card.
I recognize that feather!
Here it comes.
I knew it!
Apollo, Malu, whatever.
Watch out for aerial attacks!
Rudy!
This is nothing! We're not backing down! Bring it on!
It's hostile. We have to calm it down.
Ratha! Careful.
You're still getting used to combat there. Don't push yourself too hard, understood?
Yes.
Aye, aye, Captain. Alright, so I'm assuming... We don't have anything on it, but it's a normal type, right? So... Technical? Let's go technical. We could damage its head. That's the torso and that's the head, okay. I knew it.
Got it!
Nice. Ooh. The Palambu's change shape. It's all floaty like a balloon.
Oh.
It may change up its behavior in this state, much like an enraged monster. Be careful. So now I think it's going to do power, so we should do speed. We can't hit it with this. Oh, he did speed. That part's swelling like a balloon. I don't like the looks of it.
Let's do this.
We better do something before it finishes what it started. Won't be easy to destroy with a greatsword. If it's a balloon we're talking about, why not pierce it and let the air out?
Can do.
A sound observation from skills select your iron bow and attack. Switch weapons. Okay.
Hey.
Once you switch to the iron bow, aim for the neck pouch with a normal attack. It's a speedy. Okay.
Nice one.
Looks pretty effective from where I'm standing.
All right.
Good. Keep going and destroy that neck pouch. Okay.
Get him! You did it!
We did it. The Palamulu is down. Now's the perfect time for a synchro rush.
All together now.
Nice. Such a good looking game. I like the stylized games. You went double. It's still standing after an onslaught like that?
So, listen.
Your kinship gauge is full. Mount your monster and press the attack.
Your Highness!
Riding strengthens the bond between His Highness and his monster. Together they reach new heights of power. You can ride your monster once your kinship gauge is filled. Riding will end if their HP reaches 0 or if you lose 2 head-to-heads. Powerful kinship skills become available while riding. Your turn to ride, Thea. Join forces and finish this. Gotcha. Preparations are complete, Your Highness. Time for you and Thea to unleash a kinship skill. So if we can break the red and get the onslaught while we're on it. Nah, that is cool.
Ready, Captain?
Yeah. Good job. See what we can do.
Many hands make light work, Captain.
Good work.
Well done, Thea. Oh, it's too early to celebrate. Something's coming. Oh, and he's all crystallized, so I guess he's... Is that a... It's a cheddar!
What's gone into that monster?
Look at that. It's gone feral.
That's a feral monster. Indeed it is. Heads up, Jack.
Careful.
Everyone, watch out. How are we supposed to fight a feral monster? Look at those crystals. That's definitely unusual. Try hitting them.
Yes.
Okay, I'm on it.
Looking good.
Are you okay?
What?
It counterattacked? It seems to hate being attacked there. We need to destroy the crystallized part. Yet it's too dangerous to attack it now. We must look for the right opportunity to break that part. So, if you attack the crystallized part of feral monster, it may result in a counterattack. Alright. Let's see what the status is. He's lightning. And okay. Yeah, let's use the power attack. So let's try doing a speed attack. The Blightstone, yeah.
Got this.
Another counterattack. It's too dangerous to attack the crystallized part now. So we need to break it after we attack his head.
Don't push yourself.
I've never heard of a Chupacabra using lightning. Perhaps the encroachment influences their ecology as well. Then if we break the crystallized part, we won't have to sidestep any more lightning. This is new. Is it just me, or is the Chupacabra looking worn out?
I see.
Could be a consequence of wielding a power that isn't inherent to its species. Whatever the reason, this is our chance. I bet we could whittle off more wyvern toe gauge than usual. This is the ideal time to press the attack. Okay. So what if I do this? I do this. I got hunting horn. Nice. Behaving strangely. The Chupacabra coated its forelimbs in something, like his little slobber. Those forelimbs look capable of inflicting devastating injuries. I suggest you break them at once, Your Highness.
Oh.
Now, just a moment. It's concentrating attention on those forelimbs. Is there less powder floating around now?
It's possible.
This may be a golden opportunity to attack the crystallized part.
No.
Be that as it may, surely the ore around its forelimbs is too dangerous to ignore. So either we destroy the ore to weaken its forelimbs, or break the crystallized part to reduce its feral strength.
Leave it to me.
We have to prioritize one or the other. The choice is yours, Jack. I'm gonna take a potion. Dang. Paralyzed. Okay. So he's a technical beastie. Let's do this. Go for the opportunity to weaken it.
Nice one.
Now he's staggered. Simon's right. It doesn't counterattack when its forelimbs are reinforced with ore. I suggest you focus on breaking the crystallized part while the time is ripe. I agree.
I'll take it. Yes. Good, Munster. Watch out!
Amazing.
Nice. A nice stunt.
You did it!
We did it. We broke the crystallized part. Let's see how this changes things up. Looks like the feral Chupacabra can't move. So now we can attack its limbs. Alright, we'll do that one. Oh, with the fist. So we've been whittling down his little rubies there. Okay. Ooh, as a power attack. Ooh. How can it still use lightning after we broke that part?
Keep an eye out.
But it isn't as strong as it was before. If we keep pushing, we'll win this. There we go. So cool.
We got this.
he's doing that thing again. So cool.
All right. Here we go. You did it.
Well, I mean, you kind of did it there.
Yeah, we did it.
Phew, we beat it somehow. Feral monsters. What a formidable opponent.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks to all of you. You pulled your weight too, Thea.
Thank you, Captain. But all I really did was try to survive.
But what was a feral monster doing here of all places?
That was really terrifying. Now I understand how one of them could destroy an entire ecosystem.
Yeah. There isn't a rider alive who could control one. The best thing we can do for these ecosystems is to take them out.
Okay.
It looked like a regular Chotacabra to me, but it was so strong. Where'd all that power come from?
That's
Crystals.
what we Rangers are here to find out.
We've got our work cut out for us. I'm all in.
Doing that
Well,
crystal.
With your inaugural expedition complete, you are now officially a Ranger. Welcome aboard.
Roger.
It's about time we head back. Oh, here. This Paolumu egg belongs to you.
To me? You mean it?
To commemorate your first day. Raise it well.
I will. Thank you so much.
Come on. Let's hatch these eggs.
Nice.
This part is easy. We Rangers don't have to do much here. So just follow my lead, all right?
Going formal, huh?
It's her first ritual as a ranger. Gotta give her all the bells and whistles.
Ah, I see. That's our prince for you.
O sacred stone.
Now pray for the monster to awaken.
Join rider and spirit in unfailing kinship.
Bind thy untamed spirit to mine.
That's it.
Paolumu. Look at it. The technical. There's little gem slots. Fire and lightning are effective. There's a little.
I'll tell you, it never fails to give me chills.
Next we do the rite of channeling, right?
No need to rush. Enjoy the moment.
Agreed. Let's save the rite of channeling for later, okay?
Seriously?
What's up, you guys?
Plenty, that's what. Take a look for yourself.
Hmm.
These are all requests, but why so many?
Given the political climate, many riders have been dispatched to the Vermilion border to provide surveillance and security. His Majesty has delegated their duties to us as rangers.
Has he now?
Can't knock the vote of confidence. The king clearly believes we can handle anything they can throw at us.
Harvesting fields, repairing damaged roofs. What? Does he think we're a bunch of handymen?
That is your king you're talking about!
Mind if I take a look? I have a sneaking suspicion about these requests.
Of course you do.
All right then, lay it on us.
So, the majority of these requests come from people living near the border.
What does that mean?
I'm not entirely sure, but I'd bet it's related to our tightened border security and a distinct lack of unoccupied hands.
Then it sounds like we should take a look for ourselves. Scanning over them, some of these requests even involve chasing down rare monsters.
Now that sort of job sounds much more up our alley.
What do you say? No pressure, of course. These requests aren't exactly kingdom-shaking, so there's no need to bite off more than we can chew.
No, I say we go check it out. Simon, you're with me.
Always.
By the way,
Before we head for the border, let's stop by the stables and see how our monsters are doing. I wonder how the Paolumu we hash is doing. Tasty looking meat. Now we could change battle allies. And they got all this stuff out like really quickly. Nice. Changing battle allies. So 2 longsword users. 1 hunting horn. I think he'd probably be pretty good. Because he can provide buffs and stuff. Alright. I'll go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. So let's see. And then she's a gun lance. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with him. You can check your stats and skills and change equipped weapons, armors, and decorations. So if I do, what does this give me? Deals damage to one enemy with a weapon element that increases spirit gauge by 1. Consumes all spirit gauge and grants critical to the user encounters one enemy attack with the weapon element. Remove special sheath on countering or at the end of turn. Slight chance to negate spirit gauge reduction during special sheath. Deals damage to one enemy with weapon element, then assumes a lunge stance, which launches follow-up attacks for allies. Attack requires spirit gauge. Deals damage to one enemy with the weapon element, then removes special sheath. There's like a counter thing. Alright, so katana might be good. But charging up and doing big damage might be more fun. 88 HP. I don't know. Okay. Alright, so go counter, hammer, and bow. Technical, speed. No meal. Velocidrome. The Ferrochetacabra. Okay, what the hell? This is just a lot of stuff to do. Okay. What are you trying to show me? Alright, I think this will work. We're so happy. Hello, we're happy to look after your monsters for you. Monster details. And then you can release them. Some monsters cannot be released. such as the one in your party and those registered as a set. Technical fire. Okay. Stay out of your party. Thank you for your patronage.
Hey.
Exit from the gate to the right of the village center. Okay. I think we gotta talk to people. I take my eyes off my field for one night and someone wrecks them. My master's sure to be furious. Ah, Your Highness, it seems that someone's torn a swath through the grapevines I look after. There were holes all over the place too. It was such a pain filling them in. If you come across the culprit who made a mess of my field, do you think you can get rid of him? Vineyard vandalism. Okay.
Thanks.
What a relief. Thank you so much, Your Highness. Was the harvest damaged, you ask? Funnily enough, the grapes themselves were left untouched. Why turn up the soil and ignore the fruit? I haven't the foggiest idea. The ruined fields are past the main gate to the left. If the miscreant comes back, please send them packing. Oh, okay. Blacksmith.
Your Highness!
Seems the smithy's open. We better prepare equipment prior to the investigation. Okay.
Welcome.
We got a great selection. All right. Layered armor can only change the outward appearance. You receive it when forging armor and it can be equipped. Okay. Okay. So health boost, item saver, instigator. Makes enemies slightly more likely to focus their attacks on the user. No more status effect. Slightly reduces damage taken from dragon attacks. Strength. Break. What? Counter boost. Shadow Cobbler. Clobberer, sorry. You got the Magia Charm, okay. Retaliation stance. Deals damage to one enemy with the weapon element, then assumes the retaliation stance, which launches counterattacks after enemies attack. You could take this. I don't have enough of stuff. We need more, okay.
Come again.
So if we put on that set and then use the katana, draw their attention to you, so you can get those counters, okay. Okay, quest. Nothing else here? Alright. Did it freeze? Okay. Yep. And it crashed. Interesting. Well then. Well, I'll take that as a sign to get to bed. It was a good opening. And if you were watching, thank you for coming and watching. Like, share, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. If you're watching later, thank you for watching anyway. As I always say, keep it pushing. Never let anyone tell you can't do something in real life or game. And take it easy.